Perfect. Great. Okay, with that, we're ready to start. Welcome everyone to our Learning Wednesdays. Today we have the webinar about design for manufacturing and assembly. And we are talking here from Geneva at the ICRC. I have here with me Marc Zlot from the Physical Rehabilitation team. Marc, can I ask you to introduce yourself to all the participants, please?
Yes, everybody. Sorry, my voice is a bit weak. I have a cold. It's the season of the colds here, so I didn't miss that cold. Anyway, and for the service I see Geneva, it comes from prosthetics, orthotics, wheelchairs, walking aids, boards, and so on. Besides this, I do follow up on several countries projects we are supporting. So please feel free, whenever you want to ask, and I'll be able to provide you the answers. As long as my voice is still there. I'm not a smoker, but I sound like a heavy smoker right now, I know.
Okay, so you can all hear, it's great if this webinar is going to be interactive so that Marc has to speak a little less. So with this, I'd like all of you to introduce yourself to the wider audience. Who are you and what ideas are you working on? Maybe before that, those that are watching this feed but are not yet online, please join as active participants so that you can also speak and introduce yourself. And you find the link below on the Google Plus Hangout page. Just click on that link so that you can be active participants to that session. With that, I'd like some of you to introduce yourself. Maybe I can start with Ashwini. Are you there? Is you there, Ashwini? Otherwise, I'll go on and ask Nekram. Are you here with us? And can
yes.
you introduce yourself, please? Who are you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we do. What's the idea you're working on?
My name is ISICAT and myself Nekram Upadhyay, and I'm working on making that MAC, which is My Ability Kit, where I'm trying to solve the problem of people, those who have hand limitations, those who can't do daily activities by hands. So for them, I'm trying to make some sort of ADL devices, activity for daily living, to grip things and hold things and writing, typing, feeding, reaching to the point and pointing something, operating computers, mobile. These are the things that I'm looking at, those who, especially if you take an example of high level of quadriplegics, like cervical injuries C5, C6. So those have a very limited movement with the elbow. So if they cannot grip something with the hand, then I'm going to provide some sort of splint, some to hold things.
Okay.
So mainly they would be able to do things like daily activity of daily living, like typing, writing, feeding, pressing, and similar to that.
Specific question already on manufacturing and assembly that you would like to get answered today in this webinar?
Sorry, did you ask me?
Yes, whether you have a specific question you would like us to address today in the webinar.
My question would be about design and choosing material, and how to make the standard design, and what material I should choose, and what would be the manufacturing tooling if we want to produce the prototype. So
okay, thank you very much. So we'll note these questions down, and at the same time I ask everyone to keep typing in the group chat if you have any questions that you would like to be addressed today in the webinar. So with that, I'd like to invite Irfan. Are you here with us today as well? Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm here. My name is Irfan, and I think I'm also working with Ashwini here, and forgive me for my screen, it's a bit broken. we are working on something called as 3D printed hands. There's another group called as Enable online. So we're also what we are trying to do is to redesign the hands for the Indian context. Also look at how to improve the problem of distribution among the Indian community, and just to take that idea and then see how well it can work in this society, in rural areas or something. Yeah.
Do you also have a question that you would like to get addressed today?
I don't have a specific question yet, but maybe later in the seminar or something.
Okay, that's fine. Sharvari, are you here with us as well? And if yes, can you introduce yourself by unmuting your mic? Okay, otherwise I'll ask Shaju.
I am Shaju Chirian. I am a prosthetist and orthotist. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Okay, I am a prosthetist and orthotist. I am working with the persons with the disabilities in my day-to-day life. I am feeling some of the people are unable to do daily living activities, especially for eating and drinking. Without their limbs, upper limbs, and some of the functions are missing. We are a team. Disha, Dibu, and Shaju. We two are thinking together and doing something for them. Some new techniques to be introduced to them, and they have to be enable those people to do their daily living activities, especially for eating and drinking.
Okay. You also have a question for us today that you would like to get addressed?
Okay, in the end of this session, I will ask some questions. Okay.
Okay, that's perfect. Thank you. Rochelle. Is it Rochelle and Gary there?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm Rochelle, this is Gary. We're master's students in prosthetics and orthotics at Georgia Tech, and we've been working on a low-cost multi-axial prosthetic foot design. So we have our first prototype, but the idea is that it'll be more robust and a little bit more durable and able to withstand uneven terrain than some of the prosthetic feet that are available in low-resource settings.
Yeah, that sums it up. Yeah.
Great. Any question you would like to have addressed today?
Yeah, one. I guess we're just kind of curious of the scope of the Red Cross's prosthetics program. Maybe how many patients are fitted with prostheses annually? If you have those numbers, that'd be kind of nice to know.
And we're also interested in kind of community development as well. How you're working with local, local practitioners.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. So, to everyone, please keep typing your questions so that we can keep addressing them in this webinar. And those who are just viewers but would like to be active participants to this session, please use the link below the webinar page to join this call. So maybe I'd like to give back the word to Marc. Do you already have maybe can start answering some of these questions that we have. Maybe you have one specific that you would like to start with?
We can take one by one, it's okay.
Maybe as an introduction, the one on the ICRC, just to have a brief overview of the ICRC and yeah, what are the physical rehabilitation programs?
Okay. Well, we work in many countries. It's around 30 right now. And we serve roughly 300,000 people per year. Out of them, there's prosthetics, orthotics, wheelchairs, walking aids, physiotherapy, vocational trainings, and so on. Somebody asked how many prostheses we will produce per year in these centers, which we support. The figure is around 20,000. I think it was Gary and Rachel had this question. Next time you asked about my mobility kit, hand limitations, hands, and so on. Your question was more choosing the right material and the manufacturing tool. We choose when you come to the material, you have to make sure it's UVA resistant, otherwise it will not last. Okay? When it comes to manufacturing, if you start to produce in high number hands, usually what we do, we inject them. Where we buy them, these companies, they inject the components. Because up to now, if you work with 3D printing, it takes too long to produce one single hand. And also you have to make sure that you got the right quality. Many countries today, when you want to import components, they have to fulfill the ISO norms, 810.328. Like you cannot just import any component, they will tell you, wait, where is the guarantee for quality and so on. And which I do understand also. So all our products have this ISO label on. We test them before we send them out. But only once we develop them. Okay, first you need to develop, do machine tests, field tests, and then you will go through this lab that gives you the certification.
Okay.
Okay. And maybe, well, I think it was Daniel Stroll from was very much involved in the 3D printing hands. It was not him who invented it, but he's very much involved. I find it very interesting what he said. He says when we started with it, our intention was not really countries, which he calls less resource settings, developing countries. He said when we did it, it was for the States, for Canada, because there you will have the orthopedic workshop just around the corner in case something breaks. Now, if you take as an example South Sudan, people live days away from the next rehabilitation facility that can serve them in case something breaks down. This you have to keep in mind. I think 3D printing will become stronger. It is already, but it's not there yet for mass production. When we talk about 20,000 legs, we're talking mass production, we're talking about injection. But 3D printing has an important role for the development of prototypes, no doubt. But I think, to my knowledge, and I'm reading almost daily about that stuff, if you want to have a good 3D printing product, you need a good printer and you need the right materials. And then suddenly this is becoming very expensive. But time works for us. I'm sure the stuff will become cheaper in the near future.
Maybe can you... Sorry, do we have a question there?
So yeah, you're still talking about my thing, my question. You're answering that?
If it's answered, it's done. I would also like to pay attention to the other questions.
Okay. I thought because my idea is to reach to the less resource settings only. So I'll be focusing more on low cost material and very low tech items. So my idea is to design the spend set with the low temperature plastic is easily available, and then I look after that some tooling which could be utilized to make these assisted devices easily in low settings, and it should be easy to repairable and in local settings, and also easily available the raw materials. And so these are my idea, and to make it really affordable. So I'm not going to use the high-tech tools required, and I want to make it very simple in design. So I'll be speaking to some of the designers to look for basic design ideas.
Yeah, I see. I think the objective is good.
Maybe I can follow up. You were mentioning in your answer that there's machine testing, field testing, and certification. So if we start with the beginning of this process, does it start with machine testing, or is there anything before that? And what has to be considered as you go ahead to test?
No, you can do any machine test you want. At the end, the real answer will only be given by the field, by the end user. You will have to remember it. If you have machines where you can test certain movements, fine. But at the end of the day, dust, sunlight, the active life outside, that will show you whether your product is good enough.
So I work in a hospital, and we have people with a spinal cord injury coming every day, and so I make them and try. I started trying with them. So it's just very direct way of doing testing on the human, actual subjects. So this would be the testing procedures that I'm going to follow.
It's very good, but keep in mind when you are in the hospital and your service user is there as well, you are close. If there is a problem, it can be solved. But at the end of the day, the aim is that whatever you develop for this person is useful when he goes home.
Yeah.
And therefore, you also will have to give it to people in the field to test it for a certain period of time.
Yeah.
And then collect the feedback, saying, is it good? Is it too heavy? Is it too light? And so on.
Yeah.
And today we're talking about design for manufacturing, so that would also go even a step beyond that, not just for one user, but then for a broader range of people and bigger quantities. Do you have insights on that? How should that be considered as you go ahead and design or test your product?
Yeah, you will have to test it with several users. Absolutely.
And what are the requirements if we think of bigger quantities? Not just diverse needs, but then also products that should be available for bigger quantities. How does this have to be addressed as you go ahead?
Well, you should know the testing phase for me should at least last a year, because what you produce should be durable, right? If something lasts 1 year to 24 months, then we can start to talk about durability. Do you agree?
I can't hear properly, so.
I think I will repeat again. When you do a field test, it should be at least 12 to 24 months. Because if the product passes this test phase, then you know durability is given.
Okay. So this is after prototyping and right?
Sure, first you do the prototype and then you do the field test. And during the field test, you collect feedback, maybe every 3 months. You can do that either by phone or by visiting the user. And feedback will also help you to improve the product.
Okay. And how many people do you think we should try on?
I would try at least, you have different age groups. You have kids, you have adults, you have female, you have male. I would like, if you can try 50 people, it is good. If you can try 30, it's good.
Okay. So in our hospital, when we do a clinical trial, they say at least 30 people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
30 is good. To make sure that you have a variety of testers or test persons.
From different age group and gender.
Gender, age, weight, kids, adults, whatever.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Do we have other questions from the participants?
Yeah, we have one for Mark. Since we're developing the low-cost multi-axial prosthetic foot, and we know that this is only just one component of a prosthesis, what would be our ideal price point for the foot itself?
Not more than $50.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And is that the cost of? Are we talking manufacturing cost or cost to consumer cost?
Consumer.
So consumer
Thank-
cost.
So if you're looking at an entire prosthetic system, what would be kind of your ideal price point? So if you're including all the components for a below-knee prosthesis.
It depends a little bit. We just do the cost calculation with our different projects. There's places in a transfemoral prosthesis, that means where the amputation is done above the knee for the ones who don't know. There it will vary between $300 and $600. It depends very much on the labor cost on the spot, because there you have a huge difference. Salaries in Cambodia are not the same as in Ethiopia, okay? But the componentry itself should not be more than, including the food, not be more than $300. Then you're having a low cost quality device product.
Okay, thank you.
Low cost should not be confused with low quality, okay?
Right, and
Yes.
that's kind of where our design is coming in. We really want to maintain the quality of the product while decreasing the cost, but we know that there's a balance between the two.
Sure. I mean, on the other hand, sure, if your leg at the end of the day costs $700 but lasts 3 times longer, it's cheaper, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
That's one thing you have to keep in mind. So the cheapest is not always the best, huh?
That's true.
Do we have further questions?
I just had a question actually.
Sure. So we have Tarun here as well.
Hi, just look back to you guys. Just what kind of price point were you working to? Can I ask you for your for the foot, for the Fuji foot?
Yeah. Oh, hey. So right now we're going through several different materials,
Yeah.
and we've actually received quotes for the injection mold. So this foot is actually 3D printed. It's solid and it's functional, but it costs $500 to 3D print professionally. So for the injection mold, it's going to be around $9,000 is what we're getting per size, and each size can accommodate 2 foot sizes. And then it depends on our plastics. If we use a very low cost plastic like polypropylene, then we can produce a foot for about $5 a piece without a cover, without a cosmetic cover.
Just for manufacturing
Just for
costs.
manufacturing cost. And if we produce one out of something that is extremely durable, flexible, and resistant to fatigue like Hydro, which is a DuPont material, that will cost closer to 15. So it depends. We can do polypropylene, we can do nylon, or Delrin, which is kind of in the middle, or Hydro.
You see, if you do a foot out of polypropylene, it will not last as long as if you do it out of Hydro.
Mhm.
It's 3 times cheaper. At the end of the day, it's more expensive because
Right.
the person has to come back, replace it all the time. If he leaves 3 days of travel away, he has to leave his farm back, his family unprotected, and so on. Then suddenly your polypropylene foot is becoming extremely expensive.
Exactly.
Right.
While the other one, who initially costs more money, is much cheaper, isn't it?
True. That's a good point. Thank you.
It would be interesting to test the different materials with your shape in the field, so you can find out what's the best to do.
Right, and we do have a question on that. We're doing a controlled patient fitting this weekend just to get feedback on the properties of the foot, and we plan to do a field study as well. But for materials testing, those ISO tests take several months to do, and we don't have that time with this. Is it okay to use simulation studies in like CAD software, like SolidWorks or something like that? Is that acceptable?
It is something good to start with. But the day where you want to export your product, then you will have to do it.
Right,
But right. Sure, you don't do the ISO test in the beginning. The ISO test comes at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I think now I found the material, the good shape. I've done field tests. I'm comfortable this product will last. Only then you will go for the ISO norm test, not before, because they're time consuming, they're not cheap.
Okay, thank you.
I'd just like to add that, just for the purposes of the label makeathon, we sort of recognize that everyone won't be able to do all their testing in the time allotted. So as you're suggesting, I mean, if you can do some kind of proxy test through using, other software, etc., please go ahead and do it. I mean, do also kind of specify when you come up with it what you have to do later. Yeah. So we understand that it'll only be at a certain point that all the products will reach to at the end, yeah, and we just need to figure out how to take things forward beyond that. Okay.
It's an important point that you mentioned here. Yeah.
You had a question?
Mehmood?
Hello.
Hello, Mehmood, any questions specifically?
Are you hearing me?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so I was just all this time trying to set up my computer because I was behind the firewall. So basically we we are working on the upper limb processes, and we basically started from a passive body actuated device, 3D printed, and then we started to think for the ways for high production because of the problem that on the rural areas. So what we basically are doing right now, we somehow validated our device for a child that have been with us about 2 years now. But we didn't test it for several applicants, but only for a child. And we tried to develop a benchmark and improve the design through several iterations. So we reached to a point that we have a design that we think it works. Now we want to think of high production. So we have two sets of basically two sets of parts. Some parts that are, I think, complicated, but they can be standardized. So those are the fingers, and because the fingers we optimize a type of soft finger that allows a very good adaptability to several objects. And this would be very difficult to make locally, and we want to go for high production. But there is another part, which is the palm, which is patient specific. Are you hearing? Hello?
Hi, sorry, I was joining call.
Okay, hi Claire, welcome. We didn't hear all of what you were saying, Mahmoud.
Okay.
I think we got to. You said the fingers were more complicated.
Yeah, they are more complicated, but they are more standard. So we are thinking a set of sizes, 2 or 3 different sizes. But the palm should be basically patient specific. Yes, are you hearing us still? Hello?
You hearing?
You didn't understand the question?
No.
Okay, and now? Now?
So we're just looking for the image of your solution so that we all see what you're talking about.
But are you hearing me now?
We do hear you.
Okay, so the palm should be patient specific, and if you want to avoid 3D printing, what is your proposal? What is your suggestion for us? to be able to design something that fits our standard sizes of fingers, but a part which can be built locally.
Not sure I understand what he means.
Okay, so I understood the question is that you're producing a hand and you want to customize it as much as possible, but you also need to standardize it and allow for mass production in some way. So how do you find the balance? How do you customize it to some extent where still allowing for bigger quantity?
Yeah, yes, somehow, but a little bit different because some parts are patient specific. I mean, some parts cannot be standardized. That is the connection of the hand to the amputee. So because the amputee's hands are different, right?
Mahmoud?
Yes.
I was just gonna.
We use 3 types of hands. Actually, it's always the same hand. I want to say in 3 sizes. One for male, one for female, one for kids. The need on hands isn't all that big altogether. If I look at our statistics, far more with lower limbs. Right now, we only use passive hands. The only active hand we have is a kind of a hook system that you can use for work. And we will not adapt especially the palm or the finger. What we have is active hands if the amputation is on the humerus. Well, active that you can move the elbow with the 8 sling on your back. You do the movements with your shoulder. Don't know whether you're familiar with this. Okay. So that's all we do. And we
So
yes.
I might be able to add as well. I visited Jaipur Foot today, their manufacturing facility in Delhi. And what they do for foot orthotics is manufacture these kind of shin braces from sizes 1 to 10. And then all that's mass manufactured. And then the way they customize it is with the padding based on the patient's individual features. So they have the kind of skeleton of whatever they're doing, and that is mass produced to just kind of fit the general form. And then they kind of carve out the foam so that it fits each patient with a customized fit.
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
Where do we continue? With Mahmoud or with Claire?
I just joined the call, so I don't know what's going on. That was just my input, but do tell what's going on. And hi, I'm Claire.
Hi, Claire. I'm Mark. Shall we first finish with Mahmoud and then we come to you, Claire? Is that okay?
Of course.
So Mahmoud, are you satisfied with the answer? Did I understand you right?
Yes, basically, we are also looking at body-actuated hands, not motorized hands. And yeah, specifically, we standardize some part, and the answer that Claire gave was also useful. So basically, what we need is probably a mass production of because our problem is the connection of the standard part to the amputee. And the amputees have, some of them have lost only the fingers, some of them are from the wrist, and some of them are, and the shape of their hand are very different. So I think, do you think only that part, the connection part, can be 3D printed locally, while the other more complicated part can be mass produced? Because that is patient specific. I mean, that is something that it's a bit more difficult to standardize and go for mass production.
You know what we do? Usually we take a cast from the person with whatever is left. The amputation is here, 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 wherever. And then we build up, and at the end we connect the hand. We have a connector that is built in. You can check this on the ICRC webpage. If you go to the manufacturing guidelines, you should see how it's done.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You will find it under health, physical rehabilitation.
We can definitely share these resources with you through our shared resources folder, so we can put it up there after the webinar.
Okay, thank you.
Now, Claire, can you come back with your question, please? Or your comment?
Hi.
Yes.
Oh, I was just saying. So I'm in Delhi right now, and I visited the Jaipur Foot manufacturing facility today, and they mass produce everything, and then the like kind of exo parts. As they mass produce as absolutely much as they can, and then they make like the socket or the foam customized. They kind of carve it out. So that was just my comment.
What is the question? Again, I didn't understand.
Sorry?
The last word, the last sentence I didn't get.
I still didn't hear you. I'm so sorry.
I think it was a comment rather than a question. So.
Oh, okay.
That's fine.
but I have a question from Claire. Where did you visit? I didn't hear that. Where did you visit today?
The Jaipur Foot manufacturing facility in New Delhi.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's interesting for things like orthotics or standard sockets. What they do is that they have kind of semi-skilled workers who have these iron molds, and they have these big ovens with sheets of thermoplastic, and they basically just mold these sheets of thermoplastic to different iron molds that are kind of standardized. And they collect a bunch of these, and then if they're going to like a fitment camp in a rural area, or if they're just trying to fit as many people as possible during the day, they have this kind of standardized socket that they can then heat back up again and remold based on a patient's specific features, or they can add foam and again kind of fix it so that it fits a patient's specific features. So part of it is not mass manufactured. Part of it has to be, because of the nature of what prosthetics are, has to be, custom designed.
Maybe I have just a very general question to Marc. What are the most frequent problems that you encounter with assistive devices that are being developed? What are the key problems that you think should be addressed?
That was to me.
That was to you.
Sorry.
The most frequent problems that you encounter with products or assistive devices, or mistakes basically that are often being done, or things that should specifically be addressed in any design or any product.
I think the main problem I see is that people want to take shortcuts where there are no shortcuts. Okay? If you fit a person with a disability, let's say with an amputation, you want to make sure it's done by a professional, done by quality products, quality services. That it's durable. Do not forget, if you fit a person with a disability the wrong way, this can even lead to re-amputation, to damaging the stump. And that's where I think, despite all the goodwill that is around, it is important it's done in a professional way.
Do you have any questions
I
on
think
that?
that's a very
Comments? Please go ahead, Claire.
or well, I just have a comment. Yeah, no, I think that that's a very important point to make and a good one because I know that there's been some backlash from Enable saying that it is amateurs trying to do the job of a professional, and so I think it's good. And I've even talking to prosthetists here or assistive technology designers here in India, they're saying, you know, there aren't enough standards going into this process. Part of that is just a lack of resources in terms of training people, but it's a very good point to make that at the end of the day, a professional should be fitting these, even if they didn't design it. A professional is absolutely essential.
Yeah, you know, I don't want to disencourage anyone. I think many, many good ideas in every field, not only in prosthetics, are coming from the so-called outside because they still have a free spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, us professionals, we are already in the tunnel and maybe not as creative as we should be sometimes, might be. But as you rightly said, it needs a professional fit at the end. And you said something important. That's also where ICRC is involved a lot. We do train right now more than 150 people around the globe to become professional prosthetist orthotists to make sure that where we are involved, the service delivery is of high quality and professional. I think that's what we owe to each and every service user.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I can
Absolutely.
follow up with a question on that one. We have quite some ideas that are based on the open source principle. How can that work, or where do the professionals have to come in that process of designing and making available products open source? What are your thoughts on this, Mark, and maybe also others?
I give the floor to the public. My voice is already gone.
Okay,
So,
what do you think, everyone? With quite some open source ideas, what has to be considered as we design open source solutions, and where do the professionals, and also I think the users, have to come in that process? What do you think?
I'll answer that. If y'all can hear me. I work in. I got feedback on. What's going on?
I think hers is unmuted.
Can Claire? Can you unmute me? So.
Or no, mute.
Oh, have I muted you?
Or can you? No. There you go. There we go. All right. So I work in the P&O industry here in the States. I'm a certified pet orthotist, and I'm a big advocate for the open source community as far as using 3D printing technology to prototype and to get a sense of feel for your device. However, with that said, I don't, and I haven't met any practitioners here in the States that will advocate for open source to be the be-all, end-all process. I think you need to have a certified professional, whether it be an orthotist or a prosthetist or a pet orthotist, who's actually doing the fitting, making sure that the device actually fits properly so that you're not harming the individual, because we'll get in trouble when we have kind of desk engineers designing things but not seeing it on the patient and actually doing the fitting and having the clinical knowledge. So you got to be cautious about that.
I agree with you, Gary.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's true.
Still,
Yeah, I feel the same. Yeah, I feel the same. You know, when you do fitting to the patient or the person who. So you have to have people, those who are working with those users. They should have that knowledge of, you know, clinically knowing the person, that what they need and how it should be fitted. So yeah, you have to have someone, you know, professional in the team.
Thanks. What do others think? Yes, Mahmoud.
Uh, just following up the same line, and I agree also. My question is how ICRC can help on that process. So after we have a solution and we need, because this is exactly what I think, because we need some professional to fit that. And you have a network of people who go to different countries, and how does it work after we have a product that can be distributed to many people?
Well, this we will see at the end of the microthon. The moment the selection is done, if we see a product that we think it's worthwhile to invest in, it's visible, it is useful, then we will have to negotiate how we go about this. I mean, we do run field tests with the products we have developed ourselves. Right now we're testing a knee, we're testing a new foot. This stuff we're doing, there we have the experience, we also know how to run these tests. So at the end of this whole process, we will get there.
I just wanted to make separate points, slightly separate points. There are some things that are developed that will be of direct use to the ICRC, and as Mark just said now, we will find the way. If it's a question of testing, if it's a question of kind of looking at it and perhaps getting inputs, we will do that. But also what we're trying to do is over and above the prize being designed so that people can take their ideas forward by giving them money. What we are trying to do is to get interest from other investors, people who have money to give through foundations, through corporate social responsibility, that we can connect them up with you. Yeah. So the idea is, I mean, we're spending a lot of time taking your stories, what you have proposed, and we're going around to India and also to other parts of the world to make sure that you can connect with other people who want to take some of these ideas forward. Yeah, and we hope that some of the interest that's expressed by the government of India and other people, that all of you will be able to connect to take things forward. So even if you don't win the prize, at least you have the ability to kind of develop the products further, because we don't really expect that at the end of 60 days, certainly you should be able to conceptually prove that these ideas work. We hope that when you come to the final day, you can actually test these products out on people who have the disability that you mentioned in order to come to A, the prize, but also B, convincing people who might be interested in taking the idea forward that this is something that they should invest in or invest their time in. So that's what we're trying to hope to do. And it's not the case that ICRC will take all the products, but we hope that you will be able to take your ideas forward, and other people from other governments and other companies will also be able to take that journey forward for you. Yeah.
Mahmoud, are you happy with the answer and all the others?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my main problem, I mean, is after we have a product that we validate, how ICRC and professionals are helping us to distribute this to many people. I mean, and with that answer, I think I'm quite convinced that after that we will basically can count on a network of professionals that already work with ICRC.
Yeah.
Is that a right assumption?
That's right. I mean, what we're trying to do is create that ecosystem. So certainly we have our contacts. We have contacts also, for example, in the WHO, who are also interested in developing new disability devices. We know in India, for example, there's a new accessibility campaign which will be launched tomorrow, which is the key date in the calendar for the year. So we will try and find kind of avenues to take these things forward. One thing of interest to us, and maybe if you can just go around the room at the moment, is really to understand how is it that you people want to take it forward. Now, so I'm aware that some of you are working in institutions like universities, etc., and you might be working with existing grants. And it's not clear to us at the moment, and we will formally ask you this question, is that there are many approaches to taking it forward. One is that you may want to yourselves become entrepreneurs, or you might have a unit in whatever you're working with, or you might be a group who want to take this in an entrepreneurial way forward to set up a small business. You might want to develop it as a non-profit, or you might want to just create a product that you can share in open source way. So there are many kind of ways to take this forward. And so, Mahmoud, the question is in a sense back to you, because I think everybody will have different answers. I suspect Claire will have a different answer to you, will have a different answer to Irfan. And once you clarify for us, what is the way that you would like to be helped, we will try and enable you to connect with the people who can help you that way. So if it's not, if it's possible at this stage, even if it's top of your head, if perhaps you can just go around, the Google Hangout here, and by one, if you could say, what is it that you want to take the ideas forward?
Guys, before you answer, I hope to speak to you again and meet you also to learn more about your ideas. It's been very interesting. I hope I managed to answer a few of your questions. I wish you good continuation, but I have to step out of this meeting. I'm sorry, I have another combination to go to, and my voice is slowly. Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much for joining, Mark. So in the meantime, it would be great if you could answer to everyone's questions. So maybe anyone who wants to start, how do you think, would you like to take your idea or product forward beyond the Makeathon?
So I can start. What I'm really interested in doing with this project is seeing the different distribution channels that we can get these 3D printed devices. This is kind of assuming that these 3D printed devices are viable products that will be used and will actively improve the quality of life for people, which I know is a concern. But I think that even I do genuinely believe that they can expand the range of abilities in terms of daily activities of living. And I think that they will only improve from here. So assuming that they are improving and that they will improve even more, I'm interested in seeing how these devices are going to get to people who wouldn't know about them or have access to them otherwise. And so that's, like I said, I met with Jaipur Foot today because I'm interested in either seeing how they can partner with a university that has a 3D printer and has, biomedical engineering students, or how their prosthetists can be trained to use a 3D printer and make these devices. So basically what I'm looking for on the ground in Delhi is other organizations that might be willing to take me to either rural fitting camps or kind of remote fitting camps where they're getting prosthetics to people who don't have access to them otherwise, who wouldn't be going into hospitals to get them, that kind of thing. Because I think that the real thing, one of the big things that our team is prototyping is these distribution channels of how do we actually get these devices to people who wouldn't have them otherwise.
Okay, Claire, I mean, this understanding, I just feedback, my understanding also is that, there is one kind of formal and kind of official process with trained prosthetics, and these people don't have the means and perhaps the understanding or even sometimes the acceptance of 3D printed devices. And then it's very difficult to get this other process going on, which, as you say, is kind of almost an individual connection. And somehow, I think that, whether it's you as individually as a group or all the people who are printing their prosthetics, there needs to be a process where you can all be learning from each other.
Right.
Is that right?
Okay. Maybe someone else could share. How would you like to take your product forward? Mahmoud.
Hello. So it's a great question, Tarun. Actually, I'm thinking of that for some time, and basically the open source part I think works up to a time that you reach to a design. And when you want to go for high production, and when you want to go for more professional kits or basically devices, then for me there are two ways: or a non-profit or a company. And but between these two, I have a lot of doubts. I mean, non-profit is probably, and I appreciate your comment on that. I mean, non-profit is probably easier to get some funding for initial studies, while company is for profit. But on the other hand, a company might be sustainable and in long term be a better for in the particular case of ICRC. What do you think? What is your suggestion between a company or a non-profit?
Just to try and answer that off the top of my head, I mean, I think the first thing is to really understand. I mean, you produce a product. The first thing is really to understand whether it's non-profit or if it's profit. It is as much work. Yeah, and the question is, would you be or your team be prepared to take that work on, whichever it is? So if people give you funds as investment, or if people give you funds as a grant, would you actually move out of what you're doing now and devote the time and energy taken to take it forward? And that's one thing to understand. I mean, say, for example, if I put the question back to you and say, if you have a product or a prototype, would you rather sell it to a company that's already in the business rather than doing it yourself? So I think, it's a complicated question for which each of you individually will have to find an answer. Now, for us, when it comes to the ICRC, we're a humanitarian organization, and we don't charge money for what we do because we respond when there is a need, and we are funded to do that. So we don't actually require it. We understand, and when we get our prosthetics made, we make it through a company, and we have a license with them that they provide it cheaply to us. But they're a company that makes profit out of it all the same. And we think that that's a sustainable way of doing it. The way that it works in Switzerland is that the government also subsidizes people, these companies to take on people so that they can actually make these devices at low cost. So any kind of arrangement can be made. And the first question is, are you willing to take it forward, or do you want to sell it to somebody? And then we kind of look at which way we can go. For us, not-for-profit is our business, yeah, but we understand that some arrangement has to be made with something that makes it sustainable as well, yeah.
And I can just add to that that in 2 weeks we're going to have the Learning Wednesday about exactly this question of governance and business structure, and how to make it work as a business, or to give it to someone else as a solution. So that's the topic of Learning Wednesdays in 2 weeks, where I hope you get further answers or at least inputs as part of the discussion. And Nikram?
Yeah, so my idea is to, because in India, the ADIP scheme, the government runs the ADIP scheme, where a lot of other assisted devices are being distributed to people with disabilities through camp model or through NGO services. So I'm thinking to, like Tarun said, get it manufactured by some existing manufacturing companies, give it that idea at once, just sell it out, or give some sort of contract, or whatever way you can just give the design to them to get it manufactured. Then find out distribution channels, or maybe through dealers or some sort of agencies which can provide those products to those NGOs, those who are going to distribute under the ADIP scheme. So this could be one model which could be easily adapted in the existing situations, because you don't need to develop a different altogether resources or infrastructure or different model to distribute such products. So this could just easily fit into existing situations. The another way of doing it, if I would be really interested if a person himself, a disabled person, would be doing the service or getting it manufactured from outside. There's a organization called National Handicapped Finance Corporation in India. They give a loan to a person with disabilities at a small scale industry to open up from 5 lakhs to 50 lakhs. So if anybody would be interested, or I would find someone, or maybe I am some disability, I may go for it. uh, I might find some group to do it. So that could also be one of the way to do it, to just do it as a social enterprises rather going for profit, just to serve as many as people you can serve. This is my idea to find solutions, especially for those who have had had limitations issues. The idea is to reach to the people in grassroots level, to people who cannot find it. It's not about business. It's about solving the problem. So whatever way it is, it should be there. But the existing is, like I said, the edit would be the best idea because there's a lot of money, a lot of distribution channels. You don't need to really think about business model. It's existing already. So you just get it manufactured, give your idea to some manufacturing company, get it a number of pieces, and just you talk to government that okay, this one of the part device should also be added into your list. So you simply buy that from that manufacturing company and just distribute. For example, like Alimco does sort of manufacturing. Yeah.
That seems very clear, and I think we can help in some ways. I mean, you're already connected, I think, but whatever we can do, we will try and do that to help you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, I have a quick question.
Gary.
This is just a more curiosity, I guess, to help us build a business plan too. I know the Red Cross is a very, very large nonprofit, but in the field of prosthetics, how does a prosthetist in, say, India get a hold of an ICRC components? Do they pay for that, or is that a more or less a donation through the Red Cross's own funding?
Okay. So what we do is that many of our prosthetics are actually made here in Switzerland and shipped to the places where they need to go. And in several countries where there is a capability locally for people to develop prosthetics, we also provide the equipment and the materials for them to do so. What we do is not as a general, we don't generally provide to the whole population, or we don't try and supply so much for all different kinds of distributed networks of providing prosthetics, but we actually are operational. So if we're working in Afghanistan, for example, we outfit the ICRC prosthetics to the people who come to us. Yeah. So we directly provide our prosthetics, which are free of charge, to the people who we get into contact with. So, as you know, we work in many conflict situations, and we're often the only people with the kind of level of quality and service and access to the people who have it. Here, we're talking about a slightly broader thing. We're trying to bring it into the market as a whole. So, for ourselves, we will continue to provide free. But this, I mean, say for example, if you're talking about the Fuji foot, and depending on what your model is, we would try to connect you, if you needed our help, to people who could take it forward. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes, it does. Thank you.
Great. Do we have anyone else who would like to share? I don't know whether Shaju, you're still online and could share with us.
Hello.
Yes. Hello. Do you have an idea on how you would like to take?
I think in our idea, it is to meet the needs of the people with the disability who cannot do the things. It is not for a business in purpose. It is to serve them. It is to make some devices for them, not for a business. If it is possible, we can do. Otherwise, if the people in the rural sector, they may not be able to purchase or use this type of devices, we can make different types of devices. In the same method, we can follow and use same device in different materials and make the people who want to get in payment and who do not can pay any money, we can give in free of cost also. And we can teach them how to make it. In ICRC context, we think that it may be a good idea to share with them and teach the local people and local NGOs how to make such a product and how to support those people. We have to support them. That is our duty, not to make money also. In our profession, we have to see this type of people and we have to ensure their ability to do their own daily living activities. That is our idea. Okay, sir.
I just, I'm aware that you're working with the government, and that's a kind of a long-term sort of job. And both of you, and the question then sort of is that once these products are available either through NGOs or the ADIP scheme or whatever, that these devices are produced and then taken forward. Yes, but you want to be able to, in a sense, be the company, whether it's not for profit or profit, to take it forward. That's right? Yes.
Sir, I was not fully able to hear clearly, and I understand it. Hello.
Yeah. Hello. Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, it is clear. Sir, if we can provide this in ADIP scheme and in for this, in case of the children with a disability who needs in the SSA scheme, and if we can provide this in large scale or in the other context, some of the poor people, they don't have such access to those things. In ADIP scheme and SSA scheme, those who are attending the camps and who are going there, they will get the opportunity. Otherwise, some of the people in rural sector, they don't have, their supporters don't have such activities. On that context, they are thinking that they don't have any other device. They cannot use processes. They cannot use any other devices. On that area, we can give in the popularization of this type of devices and give them support. That NGOs can do lot of in that area, and the in Indian structure, Anganwadi teachers, Anganwadi workers are most relevant to contact with those people in the rural sector.
Okay.
Thank you very much for sharing. Is there anyone else or any last question we could take? Any last comments? Otherwise, we can end Learning Wednesdays for today. Okay. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for joining. It was a very interesting discussion. We always appreciate also to hear back from you and to have an idea of what's happening with you, what are the challenges you're facing right now. So we're looking forward to the next session next Wednesday. And we're also looking forward to hear again from you this Friday with your checkpoints and the progress you've done. So thank you very much.
Okay,
thank you.
Goodbye.
Thanks for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.